Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Design Recharge. This is episode 262 and I'm joined, this is the last episode in the Struggle to Soar series where we have gone in depth about bodily issues. We've gone in depth about all kinds of things, being an immigrant. So today we are going to deal with debt. And I have talked to people, Danielle Evans, I've had her on the show before. She also got out of debt using Financial Peace University. I always think it's something we can talk about again and again. It actually never kind of gets old. It gets old having debt, for sure. But it's something that a lot of us deal with on a regular basis. So this is a special Saturday show. So I really appreciate Amber and Amy and Doc and Michael coming. So thank you guys for coming live. And so I'm excited to introduce you. You have probably seen Drew on before. He's him and Bob Ewing have started Inch by Inch, but it's really a family thing, I believe. Whitney and Stephanie both dig deep, and they're part of Inch by Inch as well. So, guys, this is Drew and Whitney Hill, and they're in Indianapolis, right?
Yes. There you go.
Okay.
Central Indiana. You got it right. Yep, you got it.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with some questions, but you guys got out of some serious debt. Mm-hmm. So you guys have been together since high school.
Well, yeah. We dated in high school, and then there was a period of about 8 years where Drew hated me, and
what?
That's exactly. Well, I just broke up with him in high school, and then
she didn't break up with me as so much as she said she loved me, and then a couple weeks later told me that she didn't love me. So that's a little different than just a breakup. But
that's true.
But I didn't hate
I
her.
Love you.
Our paths crossed a few times.
Yeah.
And it seemed like she would have somebody that she's hanging out with, or I would have somebody, and just the timing was never right. But 8 years.
Yeah. But we saw each other like clockwork every 2 years. Then on the 8th year, I was in New Jersey for a little bit. And I was coming home from New Jersey, and
to live?
So I lived on a sailboat in the Caribbean, and I met this family down there that lived in New Jersey, and they invited me to come stay with them. So I was there for about 6 weeks, and then I was coming home, and I was talking to the family. We were having some wine and cocktails and having a great, last night, and I was talking to the family about Drew, and he came up to conversation. Anyway, I reached out to him, and we met in Cincinnati for a drink.
How old are you at this point? Out of college?
Yeah, 24.
Okay.
I was 24. He was 22-ish.
23. Yeah.
23. And so we met we went to the Blind Lemon
there you go.
In Cincinnati, had a drink, and we've been together ever since. That was 2004.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. So, but how long have you known each other? Like your whole lives?
Since middle school. Yeah. We went to two separate elementary schools that then merged in middle school.
We were in art club together. We did the academic art Super Bowl together.
Yes.
And I think it's really funny that you guys and Drew and Stephanie, not Drew and Stephanie, Bob and Stephanie got married on the exact same day.
Yes.
Yes.
Same year.
Same year.
Thousands of miles away.
Yes, thousands of miles away. But yeah.
Anyway, it's just so weird because you guys have had, because you and Bob had gone to school together, yep. And then you guys kind of got hooked back up together as well. So
yeah,
nice story all around. Okay, so you have two kids, but they're twins. So so to kind of trying to paint the picture of where you were in, what year was it when you were like, we're dealing with this debt?
And basically
everything came to a head in 2013.
Okay, so how old were your kids?
So the kids at this point were 2, just a little over 2.
Yeah.
Which is a handful, right?
Just a little, yeah. Just 2 amounts of dirty diapers, 2 kids learning to talk back. Yeah.
And they started walking very young. Our daughter started walking at 8 months, and our son started walking at 10 months. So, and they started crawling at 4 months. So we didn't have much time where they weren't moving. Thankfully, we had a very small house.
So 2013, you kind of, where were you working, Drew?
At the time, I was at an advertising agency as the associate creative director in Indianapolis. Yeah.
And how long had you been there?
At this point, about 3 years, right around 3 years.
Were you doing, because sometimes at an ad agency, you have to work long hours. Were you, were you working, doing any freelance?
Diane, there was no time for freelance.
Okay.
Yes, it was. There was a reason why I left that agency, and that was because I spent a lot of my free time there.
In Beach Grove?
No.
Okay.
We won't mince names.
Yeah, we don't need particulars.
No.
So you had been there about 3 years, and you have no time to do freelance. Everything's if you're an associate art director, I can imagine that your pay is not as high as an art director would be, correct?
I was associate creative director, but yeah.
Oh, creative director. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, still pay was mid-range.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, Whitney, what are you doing at this time?
I don't remember. What was I doing?
Whitney, sad story for a lot of women coming back to the workforce after having kids. Whitney was let go from her job.
Yeah. Okay. I remember now. I was in the telecommunications industry, and so I was a telecom analyst at the time. And I remember it was mid-March 2013, and I went to work. They let me work part-time, which was great. And then I went to work on Monday, like March 15th, and I got there, and they're like, "Oh, we don't need you anymore." So yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and after
did you have severance at all?
No, they were like, "We'll pay you for the whole day." I went, "Okay."
So kind.
Thank you. No severance, nothing.
So was this all part of why it came to a head?
Yes.
It was a big part of it. There was a tipping point that came once we got about a year, or actually about 6 to 9 months after that.
Yeah.
That it really dawned on us. We tried to make do after that happened, that life event. Whitney kind of opened a part-time business where trying to cut down on costs, taking kids out of daycare, doing what we can to get by. But it kind of came to a head at the close of 2013 as we really analyzed our numbers. And
so,
go ahead.
You had a house, you had a mortgage, right?
Yep.
What else? So you had some credit card debt too, maybe?
We had about $75,000 in credit card debt, or
$75,000 in credit cards.
Do you think that was due to having twins and not?
Well, we had a lot of credit debt before we ever had.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I would say the last year, I lost my job in March, and I was running this cleaning business on the side, but I really never made a whole lot of money at it. But so we used in that last 8 months or so credit cards to buy diapers, formula, food, groceries, because all of his income went to pay the mortgage and
the necessities, the power bill, the water bill, those things. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting the picture, because a lot of times credit cards become the sustainer. It's like another.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And so
now when we got married, we married each other's debt, and we had $50,000 total when we got married. So
you couple that with we did have some medical bills from the kids that had to be settled up, and then
for me, I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks after the kids were born. So we had that, and then Drew got sick, and he was I don't know if you were in the hospital, but he was sick. And so then our dog also had, so we just had all sorts of stuff, but we had that credit card. So we had the money to do all that. So yeah. So then by the time.
So what about like insurance? Like, not health insurance, because I'm sure you had health insurance through Drew's
Mm-hmm.
job at least, but what about like life insurance, or were those things that you were even?
Yes,
we did have kids. Okay.
We were very much covered in the insurance because we got all that before the kids were born.
Okay.
And so that was part of just our monthly, like it was taken out of our checking account. So we never went without that.
But were you paying any extra for retirement at that time?
We were trying to.
Wow.
Yeah, very small percentages.
Well,
yes.
And at one point, and we did something don't ever do this, people, ever. And Dave says, don't ever do this, but we did it anyway.
This is before we really knew Dave.
But this is, before I knew who Dave was, but I didn't think I
And
knew.
you're talking about Dave Ramsey.
Yes, sorry, Dave Ramsey. I was too good for Dave Ramsey. I was like, I can do it on my own. But I had a 401k, and it was pretty good at the time, and we cashed it out to pay off debt.
In preparation for the kids.
And we got our monthly credit card payment down to maybe $300 a month total for what we owed on credit cards. But if you look at the picture you posted on your Instagram, you'll notice that our monthly credit card, and that included a car payment, was over $2,000.
I'm going to pull that back up just so that people can kind of see it. Let's see. I'm going to open all these because I didn't share all of them. So then I thought we could go through them for sure.
Oh, that's fine.
So let me share these. And it just started thundering. So hopefully
that's a good picture.
Able to, I love that picture. Okay, so this is the one you're talking about.
Yes. So you can see on the right-hand side, those are all of our debts we had. And that's not including our mortgage, by the way. Wow. Those are just credit cards and cars. And so you can see our minimum was $2,951.
Yeah.
That was the minimum we had. When right before the kids were born, it was $3,000. So our debt fluctuated. Like it would go up and it would go down, and it just, at one point, it just started going up. So you can see we have 12 payments there. Mm-hmm. And I think those are all you can see the top two are our car payments.
Okay, so what was the first thing? I mean, okay, so we kind of get, do you feel like you're drowning and that you can't ever get ahead?
At the time, yes.
Yeah. So what was it that like hit the fan that you were like, okay, we got to do something? And who of you was the one that found Dave Ramsey and said, hey, let's do this thing called Financial Peace University?
So the kind of
Drew, what was the first year you went to Creative South?
2014. Okay,
so that's me and you. We sat at the same table. Drew didn't talk. But thankfully, you did, Bob, really. So it was, y'all were super quiet. But that was my first year, too. So, okay, I'm kind of getting the picture of where you were maybe April 2014. Okay, so Go back. Okay, tell me. Sorry.
Okay, so no, you're good. The crossroads really happened at the end of 2013. So that picture that you just shared was our budget for January of 2014. So at the end of 2013, we really were like, we are not making any headway. Things have gone horribly wrong. Can we find a way out of this? As you saw, we were making over $2,000 in payments to creditors. But then if you go down to the bottom line, you'd see that our monthly income, we were having a short.
We were $2,000
short of covering all of our bills. For the house, car
How much was your mortgage at the time?
Like $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's way too much.
Well, a very small percentage compared to our debt load.
Yeah.
I think at that point, like, it was like people talk about hitting the rock bottom. That was rock bottom. Mm-hmm. We had actually attended Dave Ramsey's classes a year prior, which is kind of sad to say that we attended his classes, saw the light, but didn't immediately change our behavior. And that's one of the things that he preaches, is that the Financial Peace University model is really only 20% knowledge. 80% of it is action. And we soaked in that 20%, but we didn't act on the rest of it.
To go along your question of how do we find out about Dave Ramsey and Financial Peace University, my dad actually gave me the Financial Peace book in 2000. Because I graduated from college and he gave that to me in 2000. And I, on my own, racked up so much debt after college. I didn't have any student loans or anything. I was blessed. I had scholarships and I paid for my college. And about 2 years after college, I was just started racking up so much debt.
So Whitney, this is where me and you are similar. So what was it for you that made you rack up debt? Because I was in a similar, I didn't have any student loans, so.
I just felt like so when I was in college, Discover Card came and they were at our,
at your university.
Yeah, at our university. And I remember signing up and I don't know how old I was, 19, 20. And I got it. And so I felt important. But I made good money. I had a really great job. I graduated. I worked for Verizon Wireless. I made great money, but it wasn't enough for me. And I felt like I was empowered with it. And that was it. And so I look back and I see, okay, I had the tools I needed when I was 20, when I didn't have any debt and I was making great money. And I mean, for a 21-year-old.
Right.
And it wasn't until 2014 that I changed my behavior.
Wow.
And that's when Dave says it's 20% knowledge and 80% behavior. And that is so true. And even now we've been debt free for over a year and it's still sometimes we have to put our behavior in check. We don't ever use credit cards. I mean, our kids, like one of their grocery store toys came with a little credit card and we got rid of it. We're like, well, our family doesn't use credit cards. And so, but we still have to, it's still that behavior.
So Doc says it's so hard when you get comfortable because you see that as a safety net. Well, I have this.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I can always pay it off.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's really, it comes down to our behaviors. It is socially acceptable to carry debt. Like it's just a given. You're going to get student loan debt. You're going to get a car payment, you're going to buy a house. Like it is just, and
that's kind of why we bought a house. We thought that's what we were supposed to do. And we didn't need to do that.
So Kim asked, did you move into a new place to get the house payment down? So then let's sort of paint the picture. So you guys didn't take action. One of the reasons that you got on Dave's radar, Dave Ramsey's radar, was because you attacked it so fast. So can you kind of, so you did Financial Peace a year before, and then where were you emotionally and mentally so that you guys were, what did you say and who said it first? And like, where was that conversation? And was that first in 14, hey, we're going to sell the house?
Well, do you want to?
Yeah, I think that, again, we got to the end of 2013 and we're sitting in our living room floor looking at our numbers. And it was just like, it was a moment of clarity. Like, this isn't working. Something has to change. And it was in that moment, I think, that there wasn't like a big pep talk or a shining light. It was just like, okay, we have to get real. And we started having was that like a sense of strife between the two of you, or was this something you still felt really connected? Because I feel like it can be really it had definitely weighed on our marriage a lot. We definitely weren't as strong as we once were. No. It definitely that debt brought a lot of stress and a lot of fights, and
money usually does.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the leading causes of divorce is financial hardship.
And I believe that's where we were headed. And I remember sitting there going through those numbers, and I don't know if it was that same night or another night, but we had the conversation. We said, okay, we have some options. Do we declare bankruptcy? And that wasn't really an option for us.
Because why? Because that was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it. It was, we got ourselves into this. We're going to get ourselves. That was us.
Easy way out.
Right.
For us, it wasn't really an option.
But $75,000 worth of debt is a lot.
It is. It is a lot. It is a lot. So, and then you put our home on top of it. So we had $205,000 in debt. And so we sat there and we are like, okay, well, we're not going to declare bankruptcy. We have to sell the house. But even selling the house, we could not afford to rent. We couldn't, even if we sold the house, we couldn't afford anything. And so we said the only way out is if someone will let us move in with them. So we had a discussion.
And live for free.
Yes, and live for free. We are mid-30s. We have 2-year-old twins and a dog. Okay. And so we're sitting there and we said, okay, well, what about your parents? And we went through all the scenarios where like his parents, they both work full time. Where would we stay? Like we went through, okay, what would their daily life be like and all of that. And then we talked about my parents, and my parents were both retired. And they had a basement. It wasn't a finished basement or whatever, but we went through both scenarios and we said, okay, well, I think we need to ask my mom and dad if we can move in with them. It's like, how do you even have that conversation, right? Like, you're 35, your parents have taught you better than this, and you have to go to them and say where you are when all this time we pretended to be like we were okay. And so I don't really remember the conversation. I think I actually sent my mom a text just saying, hey, would you ever let your kids ever live with you? Something like that, like jokingly. And
I didn't know that.
Thank you, Kim. Kim, thank you. Yeah, just to kind of get, and she's like, what? And so anyway,
New Year's Day, I believe.
So we
approached them about it.
So we sat down with them, right, at their kitchen table.
Now, what number kid are you, Whitney?
I'm two of two.
2 of 2. Okay.
And so, yeah, we sat down with them, and I remember my dad, his first question was, well, how much debt do you have? I'm not telling you. I'd never told him. He went to his grave, never know. He knows now. But because they thought it was like $10,000, right? And so they didn't understand it, and I was not about to tell them how much it was. And so
so there's just so much shame, right?
Yes, so much shame.
There's a lot of pride in that you live with that.
And they were proud of you. So it would be like, it's like the curtain comes down,
right,
and everything's not okay. And I can do it, you know, but they're really, you haven't been able to do. I'm like so similar. It's not even funny. So I mean, everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was kind of it. And they were super gracious about it. And they were like, yeah, whatever you need. They knew that, it was going to be a big change for us, but that's when we started the plan in motion.
So it was January.
So you move in with them in January. How long did it take?
No, we didn't move in with them until March.
Yeah, at that point, we really started getting our affairs in order as far as getting the house ready for
March
sale, 2nd. Packing, getting rid of stuff. Yeah, it wasn't until March.
It was
Did
March
you guys
2nd.
Move into the basement?
That was the original thought, but we wound up just staying in a spare bedroom.
My old bedroom.
All 4 of you.
Our kids stayed in the other bedroom. So they had a 3-bedroom house. and
how many bathrooms did you
two
have
and a
to?
half.
Okay, so your family, your four shared one bathroom.
Yes.
And your parents had one bathroom.
Yeah, they had a bathroom in their master suite or whatever.
And so when you had this conversation, how long did you expect this situation to last?
We weren't exactly sure.
We didn't know.
Our hope was not to be too much of a burden and for it to last too long. But there was never a time limit on it. I think they knew that we were serious about it, and it wasn't going to be like we're just going to come over and take off our shoes and hang out for a couple of years. So
all right, so you are now so Drew, how does that, do you think it was harder for you, Whitney, or do you think it was harder for Drew to live with your parents?
No.
I know
probably Drew.
Really?
You thought it was hard? It was because of my relation, like butting heads with my dad.
Yes.
Or my mom.
Yes.
So I have a very good relationship with my parents, or I did at the time. I still do. My dad passed away, but we would butt heads a lot. My mom's
like
very
about
strong.
how you raised the kids, or
that was the biggest.
That was the biggest thing, and it took about 6 weeks. There was a rough period of 6 weeks where we were all like, what have we done? And I think it was hard for my mom and dad because they were used to being grandparents. And my mom she felt like she had to help out all the time. And I was like, no, you don't need to help out. I'm a mom. I can do this. So there was that awkward period where we had to get used to each other and
roles.
Our roles. And so we had to really set boundaries, and we had to our kids were 2 or 3, so it was really hard for them to understand, so we had to set those boundaries. And then my dad and I would butt heads sometimes. I don't know what it was, like I'm a daddy's girl and we got along really well, but there were some times where we would
I think you're cool. Sometimes when it's Drew and then you have your dad, I think that would have been a really hard situation for I mean, my parents are very strict. My mom is not here today, but I think I know that my dad admits that they were strict. I mean, they were very strict.
Yeah.
And I know how to live like that, but John would never be able to live that, for more than 3 days. Like that's maybe 5. I think is his max.
Yeah.
But
we found a rhythm, and we coexisted,
and it was great. And
so how long?
I'm so grateful for them, and it turned out really well. After that rough few weeks, it was great, and I enjoyed being there because I love my parents, and I'm the teenager that when I was like 15, I'd hang out with my parents instead of my friends. So,
nerd.
I know, but yeah, we were there just over a year.
Yeah, about 14 months.
Sorry, there's Jackson.
It's okay.
He doesn't like the thunder. Okay, so he's bringing me my. Thank you. I'm freezing. I had the hair up so high low because of I was tiling earlier, and so I'm freezing, and I was like texting him, "Please bring me my jacket." So in 14 months, you decreased all your debt? That's what Kim's asking.
Oh, no. We just lived there 14 months.
Yeah. Our total start to finish. So yeah, as Whitney said, we didn't move in until March, and we really, that was like mid-March. So really we started in April, and wire to wire, it was 36 months. Wow. We went from $205,000 in total debt down to 0.
So we sold our house though. So part of that was our house.
So the house, did you make any money off of your house?
$100.
$100 check.
We had a check for $106.70.
Oh, that sucks. Had you done improvements on the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we bought at the height of the housing boom.
Yeah, we bought in 2008. 2006.
2006.
2006.
2008.
And because we were young and didn't really have any down payment, we basically financed our down payment. So we had one of our loans was
don't ever do that.
Don't ever do that. That's another thing Dave says don't do. we did it. And it had like a really high percentage rate, and basically it was $20,000. And then when we sold our house 8 years later, it was the same amount. We paid on it every year or every month, and it never went out. So, yeah. So
and it didn't raise. The value didn't go up.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we sold our house. And so after we sold our house, we had $75,000 left. And so in the first 14 months, we lived with my mom and dad, and we probably were able to pay enough down that we could then afford a payment to live and pay.
Did you start working at that point, Whitney?
So it's funny. We moved in with my parents on March 2nd, that Saturday and Sunday. And I started a new job on March 3rd. So on March 3rd, we were living with my parents. So I had a new job. Our kids were still going to their old daycare. We haven't moved them yet. It was just so much newness. So I started a job that really helped be able to take all of our money and put it down. So after we moved out the 14 months, then it took another 2 more years to pay off the rest. So basically after the sale of our house, it was 36 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So after you've lived there for a year and a half or whatever, at any time were they like, hey, when are you going to start paying us? Or are you going to pitch in for
no
food? Nothing.
My parents were so gracious. The best parents.
Okay.
So wonderful. And they never asked for anything.
Yep.
And I'll forever be,
Yep. That was our lifeline for sure.
We couldn't have done it without them.
But you talked about Creative South, and as Whitney said, we moved all our belongings into her parents' house in March. And then, the next month was Creative South 14. So
did work pay for Creative South?
Thankfully, yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to go. Right.
Yeah.
And it was a really awesome time to be there because, like you said, Danielle Evans was one of the speakers that year, and her whole entire talk was about managing debt. Yeah. And it's like, whoo, I'm not the only one. Mm-hmm. This is pretty cool. And then I think even Eric Reagan from Focus Lab, they had a panel that year, and he talked about how they had moved in with his in-laws, and it was like, wow, all right, so I'm really not crazy now.
Yeah. And then I remember he came back and he was like, I have to tell you these stories I heard. And he told me about what you just mentioned, the guy you just mentioned. And it was comforting. Yeah. And now that we are not ashamed to talk about it, we hear so many stories. And we want to make it our mission to be able to encourage people to talk about it. Because I wish we would have talked about it. But it's hard. Like, it's shameful.
It's that pride. Pride gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Okay, so how would somebody, if they didn't know about Financial Peace University, I believe it's a 13-week or 16?
It used to be. It's 9.
Now 8 week or 9 weeks? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how would somebody find out where the nearest Financial Peace University to them would be?
The fine folks at Dave Ramsey make it super easy. I mean, you just go to their website, correct? Mm-hmm. And you can do a search straight from there, and it will bring up the closest offerings to you. So no matter if you are attending a church or you are non-denominational, what have you, don't even go. At the time, actually, when we went, we didn't have a church. Mm-mm. We weren't attending church. So it was kind of an interesting byproduct of that whole scenario. But you can just go on there and find some place they're going on all the time, all within driving distance. So,
and that's the thing too, is you don't have to belong to a church or anywhere, because we didn't. Mm-hmm. But I would recommend it's so worth it. It's $100, but it's worth it.
Fun fact: we actually paid for our Financial Peace University through our piggy bank. So we actually broke out coins and counted out.
That's the only way we afforded it. So we had this big pink piggy bank jar that my mom had given us. And we just, over the years of our marriage, had accumulated change. And the only way we were able to do it, because he doesn't accept credit card. You can't pay for it with a credit card. And that's the only way we were able to buy things. And so we had to count out our change, and it was exactly what we needed. Exactly.
That's too cool. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Dave calls it the debt snowball, and he says to start with the lowest. So say you had $5,000 on one card and you had $10,000 and $20,000. He says start with the $5,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So how long did it take for you to get that first card paid off? Do you remember? Because I feel like that's when you feel like, okay, this thing's working.
The momentum. Yeah, absolutely.
I think at that point it wasn't a card. We had a medical.
Yeah, we actually started off with just knocking off things that were really low on the rungs. Yeah, we had some outstanding medical debts. I mean, you don't stop and think about it, but yeah, $30 out the door each month, to pay for some dental bill. You knock that out, and it's not that fly buzzing around you anymore. You can now take that $30 and you can compound that into your next lowest payment. And that's the magic of it. I mean, it's not rocket science. You compound your payments and things.
So kind of break that down for people. So say you're paying $1,000 total a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you're splitting it out to $300 here, $200 here, $400 here, $100 here. And so what Dave teaches, that compounding that Drew's talking about, is that you now take, if the $300 one was the lowest pay, it would probably be the $100 one, but whatever. So then you pay that one off. You pay kind of minimums on the other one until you get this guy paid off.
Yes.
And then you move that to the next lowest one. You pay the minimums on these others, or a little bit more than the minimums, and then you go to the next one. And now you're taking the $300 that you were doing here, and you're putting it now with the one that was a $200 one.
So now you have $500 paying toward that one. That's exactly it. And it works. Don't focus on getting rid of the ones with the highest interest rate. You'll never get it paid off. It's incredible, because by the end, we were making like $3,000 a month payments. And I remember our last card we paid off was my Discover card, which
college Discover
which
card.
Is so funny if you think about it, because that's what got me where I was. And that was the last payment. And I was never happier to get rid of that thing. And I do remember one of the first things we paid off that I remember feeling, I'm so glad that is gone. And it was our overdraft account. We had an overdraft account where we could overdraft up to $1,000. And of course it was at $1,000 because we used it all the time. And I remember paying that thing off, and I said, cancel that overdraft account.
Yeah.
So we canceled it. Because if we're going to change anything, we can't have that there, because that's our fallback, and we can't fall back on that anymore.
Right.
Yep. Which is actually step one in the process for Financial Peace University is $1,000 emergency fund. So it's like
that was
we were
hard.
Relying on credit for that, but the power is there to just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And have that, and then you're supposed to build up 3 to 6 months of, but you're supposed to do the $1,000 so that you can tap into that if something comes up, if new tires,
if a real emergency happens.
Exactly.
Not for Christmas or anything. It's
right.
an emergency.
Right. Because that's part of the Christmas. Dave uses envelope systems. So so can you kind of tell people about that? And did you do the envelope systems? Okay.
We did.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was the best thing.
The focal points of it is just telling your money where to go, just how you behave with your money. And Dave preaches the envelope system. So that is when you do your monthly budget and you line item out everything that you are going to spend for the month, and you zero your budget out, then you go in and you take that money and you put it in an envelope, and that is what you have for that month, period. It's not, well, let's take a little bit from this and add it to that. It's like, it's all about your discipline.
Yeah.
And we lived by that for.
We were the couple in the grocery store that had our list and our calculator.
Yes.
And we would calculate everything, and we'd be like, oh man, we're at let's say it was 150 for the week. We're at 154. What are we putting back? What do we really need? Like, that was us. And it works.
Because you're paying with cash. He's also cash for everything. Money. Pardon?
You feel the money.
Yeah.
Like, you feel it. And okay, Kim says, so did you pay cash rather than using ATM debit card? That's a great question. On everything we could, we did. The one place where we used our debit card was when we would get gas, because we had the kids usually in the car. So it was easier just to use the debit card. But we did track it very closely. It was kind of like an envelope without an envelope. But we paid cash for groceries. We paid cash for, everything we did. And I remember when I came down to Creative South the following year, whoever was there with us might remember, we had our party envelope, we had our food envelope, we had our swag envelope, and we had all these envelopes, and that was how we paid for everything.
Yeah, it was about 24 months of changing that behavior using the envelope system before we allowed ourselves to go back to using our debit cards.
Were you still using envelopes, or have you gone to debit cards?
We went to debit cards about 24 months into the process. So, and it was about that time too that Dave Ramsey released their online Every Dollar app, which allowed us to have everything dialed in through the app, so we could essentially use our money with our debit card and assign it to our envelopes, our virtual envelopes. So.
It's incredible. It's free. I highly recommend using it. It changed how we spent our money. We were already in the process. I mean, we had gone to Financial Peace University, and so we kind of knew how to do the budget on paper, but it's really incredible. And there's a free version, and then there's like a plus version where you can pay $99 for the year. And what's great about that version is it will import all of your transactions from your bank account. And so you just drag and drop them, and you can do envelopes on there too. And they have where you can set up funds. It's incredible. It's worth every penny. And then when you sign up for Financial Peace University, you get it for free.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a shout out to some of the Creative South attendees that have worked on that app. So Jenny Lee, I think she was one of the.
She was at our table. Do you remember? She sat at our table that first year.
How the universe aligns, yes.
Yeah.
So some really cool people doing some cool things down there.
All right. Okay. So, Drew, you and I had talked about sometimes as designers and creatives, we have this, and I actually feel like it's with any creative, like we need the tools. I need these tools. I need these things. And sometimes it's a digital thing, and then sometimes it's a physical thing. I need this new pen, and I need this new brush, and I need all these things because they run out. So what was because I think that is a hard mindset to, especially in Whitney, you're running a business. So you have to sometimes you have to have things to do the business better. So where's that mindset come in, and how does it change?
So there's definitely, I suffer along everyone else when it comes to that. One of those debts that was hanging around through this whole process was I borrowed several $1,000s from the bank, took out a loan to buy my first computer, which was obsolete with just in a few months when Apple switched over to the Intel processors. So none of my software would work anymore. So really big bummer there. Got sucked in with the iPhone, just had to have that iPhone, switched from Verizon, which this one had been working with Verizon since out of college. And somehow got an iPhone. I was right there along with everyone else. But
for me, and I don't know if this is you, Whitney, because it sounds like you were living in the Caribbean on a sailboat. Woo, So for me, it was shopping was something that was like a boredom helper and also a depression helper, which that was not a depression helper.
No.
At all.
I did the same thing. Shopping was definitely
retail therapy. Kim calls it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Kim.
So how did that mindset change? Because for me, when I moved out to the sticks, I live about 30 minutes from a grocery store, 30 minutes from anywhere, which I love it actually. But that was the best besides Amazon. John said in 2014, the UPS guy and him became first name basis. And now he comes in, he's seen our tile work. I mean, his name is Randy, and John's done other things to help him, but I was getting a box every day, and it was books mainly were one of my big things. So I had gone from retail and clothes to books, and now I don't get much of anything. Maybe some pens and markers, probably.
Yeah.
I love office supplies. That was a weakness of mine, by the way. I loved staples.
So we all kind of have these.
But yeah, through the process of moving in with Whitney's parents, we had to pack up all our stuff. And obviously, when you're moving into an established household, you're not going to use 2 toasters and 2 sets of pots and pans. So we had our life in boxes in the basement. And about 14 months later, we moved out into our apartment. We were really left with the opportunity to analyze our stuff and realizing we have a lot of stuff and we haven't touched these things in over a year. Why do we need them? And it's about the same time we learned about a book called Everything That Remains.
Oh my gosh, Everything That Remains.
It's a book about minimalism, living the minimalist lifestyle.
It's a really good one.
And it again, was just only underscoring that, how we can allow things to control us and really help drive decisions for us. So we were downsizing a little bit, but then at the same time, just realizing there was a lot of stuff in our life that we didn't need. And I think that's continued on now into our buying habits, and that, before we just, grab something and go to the cashier with it, we really analyze, what is this going to do is this going to bring value to my life,
Yeah. Asking that question, is this going to bring value, or do we really need this?
You unplugged the wrong one.
Oh. Sorry, everyone.
You're making a good point though. Go for it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Do we really need this? Is this adding value? And it just how we buy things. And it's so interesting now because we've been in our place 3 years or so now. And there's probably some things that we could really benefit from having, but we get by without it because we're choosing not to spend our money on that. And that's one of the things when Dave talks about when you do your budget, I think Drew may have mentioned this earlier, is you do your budget, and your budget is not constraining yourself, not taking things away from your life and not being able to go out to eat and not do this. Your budget is telling your money where to go.
Right.
And that was when we finally wrapped our heads around that. I mean, that really, I think, just changed how we looked at when we bought things.
And there's also that one envelope, right? And it's supposed to be that one envelope that's like the mad money. I can't remember what that envelope
I think it was a blow money.
The blow money, right. And that you put, maybe it's $10, maybe it's $15, but if you like to shop retail, or if you need markers, there's a budget for markers. And so then I mean, I feel like I do that with fonts. Like I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend, I have $40 that I kind of think about holding back every month for fonts. I'm not going to, you can't just buy, I mean, one font doesn't really cost $40 anymore. Sometimes they're $250 a pop. So you kind of got to wait till you can get that.
Yeah.
And so, when did you, how you found an apartment? Is that where you're living currently, or did you go from an apartment to, okay.
Well, truthfully, we actually live in a barn.
That picture, you had it up.
So yeah, after about a year of living with Whitney's folks, we're like, okay, we're in a good spot now where we think
this one or this one.
They're both. That's
right.
Oh yes, I thought you were talking about the other photo of our.
So we're on the right. Yeah, in that barn on the right hand side, those double doors. We're on that side of the barn and goes all the way to the back. So that's
right
our
where my mouse is.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So this side, and then is this side a barn, like with horses?
Yes. No living animals. The only horse that lives out there is a Mustang.
No living animals is what I'm like. They have taxidermy. Ooh.
There are horses across the street. But.
Okay.
Yeah. But so about a year in, we felt like we could really go out on our own again. And Bob Ewing, our good old buddy Bob, was like, hey, my father-in-law actually has an apartment in his garage mahal. You guys should go check it out. So, yes, this barn belongs to
Stephanie's parents.
Stephanie's parents. It's where all of their toys live. And then, he built an apartment, and one side of it takes up about 1,200 square feet. And once you're inside, you have no idea. But from the outside, it just looks like a barn, as you can tell.
All right. So you guys went from this. This was the house.
Right? Yep. That was right when we bought it. Look how
happy and dumb we were.
Drew's like, I have concerns.
We're so dumb, right?
Okay, so then how many years later was this?
So that picture was taken just this past fall, so that would be about 12 years later.
So how is this the dog you've had the whole time?
Yes, that's Toby. He's 13 or 12.
He's awesome. He's like, I mean, does he really sit like he's like not running off? He's like, I'm happy being here.
So Toby is an amazing dog, but the worst dog breed anyone could ever concoct. So he is part English Bulldog and part Beagle. English Bulldogs are notorious for being lazy, and Beagles are notorious for overeating. So all he really wants to do is eat and sleep. So our entire life with Toby, other than loving on him, has been weight control.
Yeah.
So
like debt control, weight control.
Yes, exactly. That's been his vice.
Okay, so when you are planning, you're doing your monthly or your yearly kind of thing, do you have to adjust because some things come up? Or is it like, hey, we're going to go to a vacation? Or I know you guys go hiking a lot. I guess you're just doing that locally, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say like Indiana and Michigan area so far. Our goal is to go farther, but.
Well, and I mean, that goes along with talking about spending habits. So we buy an annual pass to the Indiana State Parks. There's 26 of them, I believe.
26, yeah.
And that pass gets us into any state park at any point throughout the calendar year. So $50, we hike, whenever we want. We've got a park just down the street from us. So it's a blessing, and that's, finding ways to maximize your money. Mm-hmm. But as far as like things coming up, we are far enough into our journey where we're able to plan things out in advance. So we have is it called a cascading fund?
Yeah, I think it's cascading fund.
Where we budgeted basically around $3,000 to $4,000 a year for vacation. And each month we have X amount of dollars that goes in there to fill that up. So when we need to use against it, we're not taking away from our monthly income. It's already, allotted for.
Budgeted in, right?
Yep.
Okay, so how were you able to start a nonprofit in the middle of all of this? Because Inch by Inch started at, because that was something else you and I talked about the other day, and you said, hey, this is something I want people to know, that we still, because you guys, you got a job at Element 3 first, I think, and then Bob got a job at Element 3, right? So and then you guys, hey, you are working together, but you're not working together. And you said, hey, we want to do something together, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So how, like, starting something, and I know that Busy Beaver.
Yep.
Busy Beaver does the provide or supplies the buttons. French Paper supplies the paper. And it's $50 a year or something like that.
Yep.
And then you get, and Mama Sauce does the printing, and then you guys do all the assembly, and all the artists give their time, and they design these little inch buttons, which all of mine are at school.
I trust you. I know you.
Yeah. I'm a subscriber.
You're good.
And so when it gives back, that money gives back. I guess you have to pay for postage, and then minus postage, everything else, because the U.S. government is not supporting. I still see their logo down there.
No, they haven't contributed yet.
So tell us how you were able, and was that a conversation you guys had to have, or was it just you and Bob?
There were some elements of a conversation that we had, but pretty much it happened really quickly. So I think that what attracted me to this idea was that while our lives were, in a sense, like put on pause while we kind of tackle this debt, the world just keeps on spinning, and there's still problems out there in the world. So when we came up with this idea, some people from the outside were like, man, this was a great opportunity for you to make money to help pay off that debt, or you could have been using that time freelancing. But I got such a reward out of it, emotionally and psychologically, that it was great, because in that time, to be so laser focused on us, it really gave me an outlet to be focused on others. And I was able to do my part in helping start Inch by Inch, solely because of all those people that you mentioned being such amazing people and contributing so much, from Busy Beaver, Mama Sauce, French Paper, to all the contributing artists, like and then Real Thread came along later for t-shirts. Like, we had such a minimal startup cost that it's what allowed us to really create Inch by Inch. So, I would not have been in a position to start up any other business or opportunity in that time frame. But Bob and I, thanks to our lovely sponsors, were able to get it up off the ground without having to invest a whole lot other than our time.
So what's the plan, and how has life changed? Do you still do retail therapy? You don't, do you, Whitney?
No, I don't.
No.
No.
So, how, because I think one of the biggest things is how you look at money. So is there a plan to buy a house? Is that something you're saving for now? Okay. So,
we are now graduating from baby step 2, which is paying off all your debt, is going into baby step 3, which is saving 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
So we're almost there.
We are probably a month away from doing that, at which point our hope is to really fire up into saving for a house. We are totally cool where we're at, but I think for our kids, as we get a little older, want to give them a little bit more space. But
Toby clearly needs nothing except
he needs a bed.
He needs a bed.
Bed and food.
Yeah, that's it. And he's good. But beyond that, there's a lot of other things that we're getting into. We've really felt a lot of positivity coming off of going through FPU, and we've wanted to kind of give back. And I think there's been a few things that have crossed our paths that we're really excited about doing. One is we're actually, on Wednesday, is our first Financial Peace University that we've been teaching. It's their final class.
So they get to graduate, which we never officially graduated.
Yes. If anyone's out there is considering FPU, make sure that you look at your calendar well in advance. When we were doing it, yes, we had kids were about 1.5, and we missed more than 2 classes. And if you miss
one class, you don't graduate.
No, you can miss one.
You can miss one. Yeah.
But you can't miss anymore. And we actually never graduated from FPU because we missed 2 classes.
But yes.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
So how did Dave hear about it? Did you guys did your non-graduating leader did they tell
So what happens is after you become debt-free, you can go to his website and you can apply to do the debt-free screen. And so I literally waited for the payment to clear for that Discover card. And the day that it cleared, I went to Dave Ramsey's website and I filled out the form. And they said because of how many submissions they get, it can take 6 to 8 weeks. And I
what
never
does that mean? So applying for a screen, what does that mean?
Screen. Debt-free scream. Yeah, like yeah. And so because you can go on his show to do your debt-free scream, and that had always been a dream of ours. And we put it in, and I didn't think anything of it. And exactly like 6 weeks to the day later, I'm driving from my office to Costco. I went to eat lunch at Costco or something, and they have good food. And so I'm pulling into the parking lot and my phone rings and it was like Franklin, Tennessee, wherever they are. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know anyone from there, but I'm going to answer it. I never answered numbers I don't know, but it was weird. And I answered it and they said, hi, this is so-and-so from the Dave Ramsey office. And I went, like, well, we saw that you were debt free and can you come down like 2 days to do your debt-free scream? And I was like,
oh, they wanted you in person?
They wanted us in person. And
is that normal?
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do screams over the phone, or if you can get there, they want it in person if possible. And so I said, well, we can't do this week, but I think we can do next week. I didn't look at our calendar. I didn't ask him. I just scheduled it. I think it was September 8th or 9th. Something like that. It was a Friday. And so we both took time off of work and we all went down there and we were on the show and it was so exciting. And then about a week and a half later, we got another call from the Dave Ramsey office and they said, Chris Hogan, who is one of the Dave Ramsey teachers, he's actually going to be in Indianapolis doing a live show. Would you guys be willing to do your debt-free scream on live in Indianapolis on stage? And we said, yeah.
So you kind of got to do it twice.
We did it twice. So we did it once on the radio with like 15 million people listening. And then once live in front of about 1,200 people or so.
Yeah.
So that was a surreal experience doing that. And then we had people that we knew that were there, but we didn't know they were going to be there. And so they saw us. And so that was really neat.
So you actually went on stage. How many people and then you kind of got to tell your story quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We did.
Yep.
Yeah, very quickly. Within it's like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah. It gets hot up on stage.
It's very hot on stage. It's very scary being in front of all those people.
More scared to talk about it in front of 1,200 people than over 1 million people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys go, your kids too at that point on stage?
No, they didn't go with us that night.
It was too late. It was a school night.
It was very late, and so, but they did go with us down to Nashville or Franklin.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Doc says his family, he's still on Costco. His family of 6 can eat for under $5.
It's awesome. And the best is you can get a whole pizza for $9.95.
Yeah.
And they're really good.
Great deal.
That's awesome. All right. So was Dave I guess from the show, the scream, is that how he was like, hey, you got to get these people onto stage in Indianapolis?
No, I don't know if it was how that happened.
Yeah, I think that there's just some people within the organization talking about trying to find people to tell their story as this tour was going on, and it just so happened to be we were really fresh.
Because you're so chatty with Jenny Lee that first.
Yeah, there you go. We had inside connections. That's how it happened. But yeah, no, I think it was just we were top of mind. Just happened to be a couple weeks later.
And you were there. in Indy.
We were
So
right there.
it made it easy.
It was good.
So what is something that I should have asked you that we haven't talked about?
Wait.
Oh, well, I think we started to talk about as far as like next steps. Do you want to talk about what you're doing? What your passion is?
Oh,
right
yeah.
now?
Oh, yeah. I want to hear about this, Whitney.
Me? So, I am now a certified refit fitness instructor, which if anyone knows me, it's so far away from anything I've ever done. But I'm an educator. That's what I do every day. I educate adults. And so someone said, oh my gosh, you would be a great fitness instructor. And so I did some research and I found this company called Refit. It's REFIT. And it just fits my mission of what I want to accomplish in life and the values and what they stand for. They're out of Waco, Texas. And it's just so incredible. And so I actually signed up to go to a training. I'd never even been to one of the classes or anything and signed up to go to the training. And I went to the training in Columbus, Ohio, a couple weeks ago. I got certified. And yeah, so here pretty soon I'll be teaching fitness classes along with my full-time job. But I'm really excited about that because it's just a way for me to minister through people. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
And then, is that a faith-based? Is Refit?
So they don't consider themselves a Christian company, even though they are all Christian. It's faith infused. Hmm. So what they say is, if you are a Christian or not, you can teach Refit. Like it's whatever you make it to be. And I love that because they don't want to exclude anyone from being able to teach it or even go to the classes. Mm. Many classes are taught in churches, and many people will pray before or after or do devotions. The last 5 minutes of every class, they call it heart work. And so they might read scripture or pray or share testimonies, and it's really incredible. So if you are in your area and you search for a Refit class, they're pretty fun. It's fun too. It's just dancing, it's movement through music. You don't want to say dance fitness because people will say, I can't dance. Well, you don't have to dance. You just have to be able to move. So it's awesome.
So was there any Refit classes in your area?
They're not being taught, no, which was very strange. In Indianapolis, yes, but in our quadrant of the city, no. So this is exciting. And in Columbus, I actually met a bunch of Refit instructors from Indianapolis, and they've just taken me under their wings. It's really great. I mean, they just support. It's just a great support. And I need that because I have a group of girlfriends that we've been friends for a long time, and everybody lives in a different state. And so I don't have a lot of like a close-knit group here. So it's been kind of fun.
Is it mainly women? Because Doc's saying I'm extremely white and dancing would be a huge interest.
No.
So you're also male. So I'm not sure. Is it just for women?
It's not just for women. It's for families can do it. Kids can do it. It's great. And that's one of the things I want to focus on is I want to bring fitness to family because I know my kids love it. Like when I'm sitting in front of the computer doing a workout, they do it with me. And I love that. And one of the journeys we've been on along with becoming debt-free is a health journey. And it started about right when we moved into here, and we just try to eat better and exercise more and do things with our family. And so that goes along with it. And that's kind of what I want to take to families. That's just a really funny comment, Doc. But no, they have what's called a Refit Dude. So they call them Refit Dudes. And they actually have t-shirts. So you could get a t-shirt.
So, and he is a dad of 4 girls. So
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. It'd be fun.
So so Kent wanted to know, and I know we're over time. Do you apply FPU principles to the inch by inch administration?
from the standpoint of giving 100%, I don't know much about Dave Ramsey's principles when it comes to running a business or an organization.
We have the book. We just haven't read it.
Yeah. Next journey. But I mean, one of Dave's biggest principles is, living and giving like no one else. And the sole mission of Inch by Inch is just to give back. Right. So we are living that principle. But as far as, I can't speak to anything directly that would say that aligns with Dave's business philosophy, but I know that he is a big proponent for giving back, and that is 100% in the Inch by Inch team.
Well, and I can't say Inch by Inch doesn't use credit.
Yeah, that's true.
So they don't use a credit
We've
card.
never taken out a loan.
There's no loan or anything, so that's good.
And you also have you have a mission, and you've gotten other people on board that were the makers, which I think is something that. So instead of being ashamed to ask, you just said, "Hey, we want to do this. This is going to help other people," and there was no shame in that. And so it seems so funny that we take so much shame on some of the things. I guess it's because you're doing something that's really giving back. It's not like, hey, Inch by Inch wants to have a new TV to watch while we're packing these things, right?
Yeah, no.
So I guess it's all those decisions. So I have some ways that people could get in touch with you guys. Do you want me to share your emails? I know you sent me your emails, but I don't have to if you don't want to. You just need to tell me.
You can share them. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So I'm just going to go in the order Drew gave them to me.
Okay.
And Whitney, I could not tag you in these things because I could not remember what your Instagram handle was.
Oh, yeah.
Because I guess it didn't pop up as Whitney Hill.
Really?
Yes, I know.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway.
What's it popping up as?
It wasn't popping up at all for me. And I already follow you. So that's why I thought it was
that's weird.
Anyway.
Okay. Oh, well.
But now I'll go back and retag.
Okay.
All right. So you can always, and this is the way I remember Drew's, because art director. I don't know if that's what it is, but Drew Hill AD, and I remember as art director, and that's on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yep.
And your site is currently down, but you can find his stuff maybe sometime at
sometime in the future.
drewhill.com. And you can also email him at drewhillad@gmail.com. And then with Whitney, I'm sure Whitney would be happy to talk to you about refit or about any of the other healthy things, as well as, having a full-time job, having twins, being married, the whole gamut.
I'm an open book, so watch out what you ask.
So you can go and you can find her on Instagram at @the_WHIT. And then you can get Whitney at whitneyhill@hotmail.com. All right. And then they have the Hillosophy.
There you go.
Right? Did I say that?
Yes, you got it right.
Pretty good. And so tell them about, because this is kind of a blog that you guys have started, and Drew was like, we haven't quite gotten in our groove yet, but the goal is at some point to do something more regularly and maybe share about debt, also about maybe the healthy living, right?
Yeah. It's a place, a blog to capture kind of what we've been through, our journey. I think that that was one of the things that we discovered when we went into this whole mission of ours, is that we were, we felt like we had to keep things under wraps and not really be able to talk with people about what we were going through, because there was the expectation of where we should be. And we're just kind of throwing that out the window and saying, we're going to be super transparent and share with people. And, hopefully it can help somebody, and I think there's also something therapeutic in just writing what you're going through. So we'll be sharing about our financial journey. We'll be sharing about our faith journey. When it comes to things, food,
oils, essential oils. That's a huge part of our life. And I know it is yours too.
Because you do Young Living also.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like we live and breathe our essential oils.
Literally.
So Drew, are you more private normally than Whitney? If Whitney's an open book?
Yes.
I can tell by Whitney's laugh.
You know this. You witnessed this firsthand when we first met yourself. Yes, but you did me
You
talking.
really didn't talk. Like, but but neither did Bob. Like, both of you were like super, super, super quiet.
That's funny because when he came back, he wouldn't stop talking about it. So it's really funny that you didn't talk.
But now he doesn't. Now he's chatty.
He's good.
Yeah,
Things change.
Now we're friends. We've been longtime friends.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's the wraps on the philosophy. We hope to start contributing regularly, and we'll and hopefully encourage some healthy conversations. And that's why we shared our emails too, because if anybody has any questions and just want to pick our brains about things a little bit more, we are happy to share.
We're definitely always learning and still trying to figure things out.
Yep.
So as your marriage is so much stronger now because of all of this, even though it was really hard. Yeah. So Joey's in Hawaii. So she came here at the end. But look, you can always watch it again.
That's right.
Joey, there's our emails. Hit us up.
Yeah. So then I wanted to share the inch by inch stuff. But your marriage now, like if you looked at from 2013 to now, what do you think you just make decisions better? Like going through this journey has just bonded you so much closer?
Yeah, 100%. I think that, any walls between us have fallen. I mean, we're very transparent in our thinking. We are running lockstep through life because, we've overcome one of the biggest obstacles that faces most marriages. And actually most people
get divorced
in general. Of money. I think people in general, debt is something that drags you down. And I think that being able to overcome that is, freed us up to really connect on a deeper level. So,
and I think just being able to talk about it and having someone that's going before and making it okay that somebody else can share with you is really huge. So I really love that that's such a big part of what y'all want to do.
Well, and I would highly recommend anybody that is in a situation where you're married or together or whatever, and you have this debt together, to be open about it, because I think I hid a lot of what I had from him, and likewise. And then I was the one that did the budget and controlled the money. And so I felt like everything was my fault and I hid it, and I resented him for not partaking, but I would never let him touch it because I didn't want him to see where we were.
And you're also just a control.
And then I'm a control person anyway. But letting
Whitney and I are so much alike. Like our hair now, I just gotta spike mine up.
I love it. That's why we get along so well. But we let each other in, and we broke down that barrier, and
it feel like you dream better together now.
Yes, we do. We do. It's incredible. Like yes.
I think that's sometimes it feels like people will be like, oh, well, we're never going to get there. But like John and I have recently made a decision, and it was a really hard decision. And but now it's just like we're on the same page. We're just, and I feel like that is so relieving. It's hard. It's really hard, but I feel like it's relieving. So I want to share inch by inch. So all philosophy is the Hill OSOPHY on Instagram and Twitter, and then thehillosophy.com, and then thehillosophy@gmail.com. And then inch by inch, if you guys want to participate, it's awesome. You get this cute little yellow envelope filled with 3 buttons. I think it's always 3.
Sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4. Inch by inch, inch_x_inch on Instagram and Twitter, or inch.org on the internet. And then inch, you can email them and ask about it. It actually renews automatically, which I love. inchclub@gmail.com. And Kent says he's got his buttons right here. And Kent's an educator. He teaches graphic design in Mississippi.
Yeah, we've talked several times. Good to see you.
You're welcome, Kim. She said she had to go.
Oh,
sorry.
Ken.
Okay.
Oh, they're saying Ken. That's not about Ken. Got it. Okay, good.
Okay, so then
Sorry.
I also wanted to say, yeah, it's okay. We got it. You guys are on the same page. We're talking to two people, Kent and Kim.
Yes.
Drew's talking to Kent and Whitney's talking to Kim. And then Dave, DAVERAMSEY.com. And then you can also check out there where their appearance was on YouTube. So YouTube / I don't know why.
A bunch.
Yeah. So it'll be in the show notes.
Or just search it on YouTube.
It'll also be underneath. If you're already watching on YouTube, you can get all these links are going to be underneath. And then the everydollar.com is that app. And then this whole long slew is what Doc gave it. So terrific. You can get the app and it's super helpful. No worries, Joey. We're just happy to have you here. And then I am taking the rest of July off. We are getting our house ready to sell. So we are following in their footsteps and we are tiling. So I showed Whitney before Drew came. I'll show you guys if you really want to see.
It's impressive.
Poo. Let me open them up real quick. So it's in, you guys will be like, oh my gosh. But let's see. Hang on just a second. And okay, this is the before that. Well, my husband did that big long thing and then I worked off of this. This is what I did today. So this is disgusting, ugly vinyl. This is what it was when we moved in. Not super pretty. And then I did 3 tiles and then I worked back out. And then that's our kitchen. I thought I had, so that's before lunch, but I got it done. I haven't grouted. It will be lighter. And then this is, we've moved everything out or into the bedrooms. And so this is the main room and the breakfast room. And then
Impressive.
What a burger.
Yeah, eating super healthy. And there's Jackson.
Yummy.
And then we haven't done those tiles still. But all of this is done now and the kitchen's done. So we've made good progress. And hopefully we will make more than $106. That's the goal.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
It was no fun.
Yeah.
At least we didn't lose money.
Yeah. But we also bought it at in the 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
oh well. We'll see. But anyway, thank you guys so much. And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me at rechargingyou.com. And you can email me at diane@rechargingyou.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. I am taking the rest of July off, and I'm going to redo the Recharging You website. So pray for me and hope that it gets finished. I haven't started on the design yet. So, but you can't keep updating things and then have, the site. So that was the goal. So hopefully I will get to get the site up and then we will start back. Awesome. I was going to have Kevin Green on just so if anybody knows, he has been rescheduled so that I actually can take the rest of July off.
Well, you have a good time.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we're moving forward, all of us. And I just thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
And I just love you both. And I'm
thank you.
We love you.
Love you too. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Yes. Thank you everyone. This was so neat.
It wasn't as scary.
I was scared and it wasn't scary at all. Everyone made me feel very comfortable.
Good. So guys, you can always hit subscribe and like and share. And the best way to do that is to tell your friends about Design Recharge. So thank you guys for, there's a big thunder. I thought somebody big was knocking on my roof, like God, I guess. But anyway, I will see you guys in August, and I hope you guys have a great July. So
you too. Thanks, Diane. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Diane.
Bye.
Bye, guys.